I'm standing at the microphone in a Phoenix resort ballroom, staring at 200 wedding guests. My sister Melissa is frozen at the head table in her designer gown, champagne glass halfway to her lips. Mom's face has gone sheet white. And I'm about to project bank statements showing the $35,000 funding this fairy tale wedding was stolen from me. The money my dead father saved specifically for my wedding? Mom gave it all to Melissa for marriage number 3. But here's what makes this nuclear. I have documentation. Legal proof. And my sister's brand new doctor husband is about to find out exactly what kind of family he just married into. But let me back up and tell you how I got here. Hey everyone, welcome back. If this is your first time here, I share real stories of family betrayal and the satisfying revenge that followed. If you've ever been the responsible sibling who watched your parents fund your sister's chaos while you got nothing, you'll relate to this one. If you find this story valuable, I'd appreciate your support, a like, a comment, or joining this community for more stories like this. Share your own experience in the comments. I read every single one and your stories matter. Now, let's get into it. My name is Lauren Martinez, and I'm 31 years old. I'm a high school biology teacher in Phoenix, Arizona, earning $58,000 a year. I've been with my fiancé Derek for 5 years. He's an electrician, makes decent money, and we've built a solid life together. We're not flashy people. We drive practical cars, live in a modest 2-bedroom apartment, and save for the things that matter. My younger sister, Melissa Martinez Cooper Jameson, is 28 years old. Yes, that's a hyphenated triple-barrel last name, because Melissa has been married 3 times. Currently, she's unemployed and completely supported by husband number 3, who she married at this very wedding I'm about to tell you about. Melissa treats marriage like some people treat hobbies. She gets really excited, dives in completely, then loses interest when reality hits. Our mother, Carol Martinez, is 56 years old, works part-time at a boutique, and has spent 3 decades enabling Melissa's chaos while criticizing my boring stability. In Mom's world, Melissa's drama equals excitement. My responsibility equals being boring. Growing up, the difference between how Mom treated us was stark. When I was 17 and going to prom, Mom gave me $100 and said, "Find something nice at Target." I bought a clearance dress for $67 and used the rest for alterations. I have exactly 3 photos from that night, all taken on my friend's camera. 3 years later, when Melissa went to her prom, Mom spent $2,500. Designer dress from Nordstrom. Professional hair and makeup. A photographer who followed Melissa around for 2 hours taking magazine-quality shots. When I pointed out the disparity, Mom said, "Melissa appreciates nice things. You're practical." When I graduated college with honors, biology degree, teaching certification, 0 debt because I worked 2 jobs throughout school, Mom's gift was a $50 restaurant gift card and a card that said, "Proud of you." That was it. No party. No celebration. Just acknowledgement that I'd done what was expected. When Melissa dropped out of college after 1 semester because the classes were too hard and I don't even know what I want to do, Mom threw a Following Your Dreams party. Cost $3,000. Rented a venue. Catered food. Invited extended family. The theme was literally about celebrating Melissa's courage to forge her own path. I remember standing in that venue, watching relatives toast my sister for quitting, thinking, what path? She moved back home and worked retail for 2 months before quitting that too. But the biggest thing, the thing that matters most to this story, happened 5 years ago. I was 26, dating Derek seriously, and Mom sat me down one evening after Sunday dinner. "Your dad wanted you to have a beautiful wedding," she said, her voice soft. This was unusual because Mom rarely talked about Dad, who'd passed away 8 years earlier from a heart attack. Before he died, he set aside money specifically for you. "When you're ready to get married, I have $35,000 saved just for your wedding. It's waiting for you whenever you need it." I cried. Dad had been gone for 3 years at that point, and knowing he'd planned ahead for my future felt like getting a piece of him back. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "That means everything." Mom hugged me. "Take your time. Get your master's degree. Build your career. The money will be there when you're ready." So that's what I did. I postponed getting engaged even though Derek and I both knew we were headed toward marriage. I wanted to finish my master's in education first. I wanted to establish my teaching career, maybe get tenure track. I was being responsible, building a foundation. And I trusted completely that Dad's gift was safely waiting. During those 5 years, I watched Melissa burn through 2 marriages. The first husband was a guy she met at a bar and married 6 weeks later. That lasted 11 months before he discovered her credit card debt and filed for divorce. The second was her manager from the boutique where she briefly worked. They were married 14 months before he caught her cheating. Each time, Mom defended Melissa. She's searching for love, Mom would say. She deserves happiness. Some people just have to kiss more frogs. Meanwhile, Derek and I were still dating. Building slowly. Doing things right. And apparently, in Mom's eyes, that made us boring. Last winter changed everything. Derek and I finally got engaged one evening in December. Nothing fancy, he proposed at the Botanical Garden during their holiday lights display. It was perfect. We were ready. The following week, I texted Mom. Derek proposed. We're thinking next fall for the wedding. Can we talk about that fun Dad set aside? She didn't respond for 6 hours. When she finally called, her voice was tight. Can you come over tomorrow? I drove to her house the next afternoon, excited to start planning. Mom was sitting at the kitchen table with her hands folded, and the second I saw her face, my stomach dropped. About that money, she started. My throat went dry. What about it? I gave it to Melissa. For a moment, I couldn't process the words. What? Melissa's getting married again, Mom said quickly, words tumbling out. In the spring. To a wonderful man, a doctor. Dr. Stephen Chin. He's a dermatologist. Very successful. This is Melissa's chance at real happiness, and she needs a proper wedding to start this marriage right. I stared at her. You gave her my wedding fund. Lauren, be reasonable. Dad's money. That he saved specifically for me. Mom's face hardened. Don't be selfish. Your sister needed it more urgently. She deserves happiness just like you do. You and Derek can have a small backyard wedding. You're practical, you'll understand. Make it work with your savings. I couldn't breathe. The room tilted. Dad saved that money for me. You promised me it was waiting. I've been planning my entire life around this. Plans change, Mom snapped. Melissa is marrying a doctor. This is important. This could be her forever marriage if we support her properly. You can get married at a park or something. Keep it simple. $35,000, Mom. Gone. Melissa's wedding is in 6 weeks. I already transferred the money. It's done. I stood up, legs shaking. I can't believe you did this. Oh, don't be dramatic. You'll get over it. You always do. I walked out. Sat in my car for 20 minutes, trying not to vomit. Then I drove home and told Derek everything. We're getting a lawyer, Derek said immediately. That money was designated for you. Your mom was just the trustee. What do you mean? Your dad wouldn't have just handed your mom cash with a verbal promise. There had to be paperwork. An account. Something official. He was right. The next morning, I called Dad's financial advisor, a man named George Patterson who'd worked with Dad for 20 years. I explained the situation. There was a long silence. Lauren, your father set up a designated account for you specifically. I have the documentation. My heart pounded. How much was in it? Originally? $50,000. I nearly dropped the phone. 50? Your mother was the trustee. She was supposed to maintain the account and give it to you when you got married. Let me pull the records. 3 days later, George sent me everything. Bank statements going back 8 years. And what I found made my hands shake with rage. Dad had left $50,000 in that account. Mom, as trustee, was allowed to manage it but not spend it on herself. The statements showed systematic theft. Every month for years, Mom had withdrawn $500. For groceries. For her boutique shopping. For Melissa's rent 1 year. For Melissa's car payment. For her own weekend trips. Over 8 years, she'd stolen $15,000. Then, 6 weeks before I called George, She'd transferred the remaining $35,000 directly to Melissa's checking account. I have copies of everything. Transfer receipts. Withdrawal histories. A handwritten note from Dad in the original account documents saying, "For Lauren's special day, may it be everything she dreams." I sat at my kitchen table staring at Dad's handwriting, and I cried for an hour. Then I got angry. Then I got strategic. That same evening, Derek and I made a plan. We needed legal help, and we needed it fast. Melissa's wedding was 5 weeks away. The next day, I contacted Thomas Richardson, an estate attorney whose name George had recommended. Thomas reviewed the documents I'd gathered, and his face went hard. "This is clear breach of fiduciary duty," he said. "Your mother violated the trust terms your father established. We can file suit and demand full restitution." "How long will that take?" "Depends. But if we move quickly, we can at least freeze the situation before the wedding." I paid his $9,000 retainer, money Derek and I had saved for our honeymoon. It felt like bleeding, but we knew we had to do this. Thomas filed a lawsuit within 3 days. We sued Mom for breach of trust, demanding the full $50,000 plus interest and legal fees. Thomas subpoenaed all of Mom's bank records, credit card statements, and correspondence with Melissa. The real genius move? Thomas contacted Dr. Stephen Chin directly. He sent Stephen a carefully worded letter. "This concerns financial matters related to Melissa Martinez's upcoming nuptials. As you may be unaware, the wedding you're funding has been partially paid for with money unlawfully taken from a designated trust. Attached, please find documentation. You are invited as an interested party to the preliminary hearing scheduled for 2 weeks from now." We included copies of everything. The trust documents, the bank statements, the transfers, Dad's handwritten note. Then I waited to see if Stephen would take the bait. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Lauren Martinez?" "Yes." "This is Stephen Chin. I need to talk to you about your sister." We met at a coffee shop the following morning. Stephen was 36, well-dressed, clearly successful, and absolutely furious. "I've been paying for this entire wedding," he said. "The venue, the catering, the flowers, everything. Melissa told me her family couldn't contribute. She said you all were struggling financially." She lied. Obviously. He opened his laptop and showed me his spreadsheets. He'd spent $47,000 so far on the wedding. She also told me the $35,000 in her account was from an inheritance her grandmother left her. "That's my father's money. Stolen from my wedding fund." Stephen's jaw clenched. "I'm paying for a wedding with money she stole from you, after she lied about needing financial help. That's Melissa's specialty. Lying. Manipulating. This is husband number 3 for her, by the way." His face went pale. 3? She didn't tell you?" "She said she'd been married once before, briefly, when she was young. Twice. And briefly both times. This is a pattern for her." Stephen closed his laptop slowly. "What's your plan here?" "Get my money back. Hold my mother accountable. And make sure everyone knows exactly what happened." "When's the hearing?" 10 days from now. I'll be there." The hearing was intense. Mom showed up with a cheap lawyer who tried to argue that the trust was informal and just a family arrangement. Thomas destroyed that argument in minutes by presenting Dad's original documents with his notarized signature and the designated trust account structure. The judge reviewed everything and ordered a freeze on Mom's assets pending full trial. "This appears to be a clear violation of trust terms," the judge said. "I'm also referring this to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges." Mom's face went white. Her lawyer looked shocked. Melissa, who'd shown up in the back row, stormed out. That afternoon, I got a text from Melissa. "You're destroying our family over money. Mom told me you're upset, but this is insane. My wedding is in 3 weeks, and you're invited if you can stop being bitter. Try to be supportive for once." I didn't respond. Instead, I prepared for phase 2. I hired a graphic designer to create a professional presentation. Clean layouts. Clear documentation. Dad's handwritten note scanned in high resolution. Bank statement excerpts. Transfer receipts. A timeline showing 8 years of theft. I titled it, "How This Wedding Was Funded." I also bought a new dress. Hired a professional to do my hair and makeup. If I was going to crash my sister's wedding, I was going to look flawless doing it. Melissa's wedding day arrived 3 weeks later on a gorgeous spring afternoon. The venue was a high-end resort in North Phoenix, overlooking the mountains. Valet parking. String quartet. Ice sculptures. 200 guests. I arrived during cocktail hour. Melissa was taking photos with Stephen by the fountain, and Mom was holding court with relatives near the bar. No one noticed me slip inside. The reception started at 6. Melissa and Stephen had their first dance. Dinner was served. Toasts began. Melissa's maid of honor gushed about finding true love. Mom's toast talked about watching my beautiful daughter finally find her forever partner. Then the DJ called for more toasts, asking if anyone else wanted to say a few words. I stood up and walked to the microphone. Melissa saw me first. Her face registered confusion, then horror. Lauren. Hi everyone, I said, voice calm. I'm Lauren Martinez, Melissa's older sister. Polite applause. Some relatives waved. I'd like to make a toast, I continued. But first, I need to share something important about how this beautiful wedding came to be. Melissa stood up. Lauren, what are you? This $35,000 wedding was funded by money my deceased father left specifically for my wedding. The room went silent. Whispers started. I have documentation, I said, pulling out my tablet, which I'm going to show everyone now. The resort had a projection screen for slideshows. I'd paid the AV guy $200 earlier to let me use it. He switched inputs and my presentation appeared on the screen behind me, 20 feet tall. First slide, Dad's handwritten note, blown up huge. For Lauren's special day, may it be everything she dreams. Love, Dad. Gasps from the crowd. Mom stood up, face red. This is inappropriate. Second slide, I continued. Bank statements showing Mom's monthly withdrawals of $500 for 8 years. That's $15,000 she stole. The numbers appeared on screen, highlighted in red. More gasps. Relatives started murmuring loudly. Third slide, the transfer of $35,000 from my trust account directly to Melissa's checking account 6 weeks before this wedding. Stephen was staring at the screen, face like stone. Melissa looked panicked. Here's the timeline, I said, advancing slides. Dad dies 8 years ago. Leaves $50,000 in trust for my wedding. Mom is trustee. Mom steals $15,000 over time. Mom gives remaining $35,000 to Melissa. Melissa lies to her fiancé and says it's inheritance from our grandmother, who, by the way, is still alive and sitting right there. I pointed to our grandmother Elena, who looked horrified. So while you're all enjoying this beautiful reception, I continued, please know it was funded with stolen money. Money my father saved for me before he died. Money that should have paid for my wedding, which I've been postponing for years while being responsible. Melissa screamed, you're ruining my day. You ruined mine first, I said calmly. With stolen money. Stephen stood up and walked out. Just left. His groomsmen looked at each other in confusion, then followed. The room erupted. Relatives started yelling questions at Mom. Melissa was crying hysterically. Mom tried to grab my arm, you ungrateful little. Save it for court, I said. We have a trial date next month. You'll be paying every cent back, plus legal fees, plus possibly facing criminal charges. Enjoy the wedding cake. I walked out past stunned guests, past the ice sculptures, past the string quartet that had stopped playing. Behind me, I heard chaos, shouting, crying, people demanding explanations. I got in my car, drove home, and poured myself a large glass of wine. The next day, my phone exploded. Angry texts from Mom. Hysterical voicemails from Melissa. But also, messages from relatives saying they had no idea what Mom had done and they supported me. My Uncle Carlos called to say he was cutting Mom off completely. My cousin Isabella said she'd testify on my behalf if needed. 2 weeks later, we went back to court. Thomas presented overwhelming evidence. Mom's lawyer tried to negotiate a settlement, but Thomas was ruthless. Full restitution, he said. $50,000 plus 8 years of compound interest. That brings the total to $58,400. Plus my client's legal fees of $14,000. Total, $72,400. Mom sobbed in court. I don't have that kind of money. Then you'll set up a payment plan, the judge said. And you'll face probation for misuse of trust funds. If you default on payments, you'll face criminal prosecution. The ruling was final. Mom was ordered to pay me $72,400 total. She sold her car to make the first payment. She took out a loan against her house for the rest. But the real payoff came 2 months later. Stephen filed for annulment. The marriage was voided, lasted exactly 68 days. In Arizona, annulments based on fraud are granted quickly, and Stephen had proof Melissa had lied about the wedding funds, her previous marriages, and her employment history. He also sued Melissa for the $47,000 he'd spent on the wedding, claiming fraud and misrepresentation. They settled out of court, and Melissa had to pay back $25,000. My sister, the princess who'd gotten everything, ended up divorced for the third time, publicly humiliated at her own reception, and $25,000 in debt. It's been 4 months now since Melissa's crashed wedding. Mom has paid me $38,000 so far on her court-ordered plan. The rest comes in monthly installments of $1,200, which will continue for 3 years. I used the money exactly as Dad intended. Derek and I got married 3 weeks ago at the Desert Botanical Garden, same place he proposed. We had 75 guests, an amazing caterer, live music, and a photographer whose work looks like it belongs in magazines. Total cost, $42,000, including my dress, flowers, and honeymoon in Italy. Dad's money paid for most of it, just like he wanted. During our ceremony, we left an empty seat in the front row with Dad's photo. It felt like he was there. Melissa didn't attend. Neither did Mom. But honestly, I didn't want them there anyway. These days, Mom works 2 jobs trying to pay her debts. She lost standing in our extended family. Most relatives have distanced themselves after learning what she did. Uncle Carlos speaks to her only for logistics regarding family events. Grandmother Elena told her she's ashamed of how she raised her daughters. Melissa moved back home with Mom. The dermatologist marriage annulment destroyed her financially and socially. She's working retail again, ironically at Target, where I bought my $67 prom dress all those years ago. She deleted all her social media after the wedding disaster went viral in our extended family and friend groups. Stephen, by the way, thanked me. He sent a card 3 months after the annulment saying he dodged a massive bullet and was grateful I exposed everything before he got in deeper. He's apparently dating someone new, a pediatrician who's never been married and has her life together. The truth is, I didn't do this purely for revenge. I did it because it was right. Because Dad deserved to have his final gift honored. Because I deserved the wedding he wanted me to have. But I won't lie, watching Melissa's fairy tale wedding explode in front of 200 people, watching Mom face legal consequences, watching justice actually happen, that felt incredibly satisfying. Sometimes karma needs a little help from the legal system. And sometimes the best revenge is letting consequences catch up while you live the life you actually earned. So that's my story. Sometimes standing up for yourself means scorching the earth, but when you've been walked on your entire life, maybe that's necessary. If this story resonated with you, I'd be grateful for your support, whether that's a like, a comment, or joining this community for more stories. Drop a comment below. Have you ever been the responsible sibling while your parents enabled your sister's chaos? I'd love to hear your experiences. And if you're dealing with something similar right now, document everything, get copies of any trust documents, and hire an attorney immediately. You're not powerless. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where I'll share another story about family betrayal and satisfying justice. Take care.